Oh no, I've lost 25% of my audience. Guess somebody didn't want to watch me brushing my cat. Oh, they're back. No, I still got the refrigerator. It's sitting out in the front yard. Yeah, how redneck is that? I left it on the trailer and at the end of the driveway, so or at the front end of the driveway up by the gate. But Susan actually emailed me something a couple days ago about an option for that. So I'm going to look into that this week. It's also been suggested maybe that while Goodwill might say no, Salvation Army might say yes. So that's another option. Like I said, the worst part right now is done. I don't have to get it onto the trailer anymore. I just left it there, put a tarp over it. Like I said, how redneck is that, huh? I don't know. That was suggested that maybe the Salvation Army might be an option. And actually, I was thinking about that a little bit when I was driving home with the refrigerator from Goodwill. But it was the last day of my weekend. I didn't want to spend the rest of the day, you know, driving a trailer around with a refrigerator on the back. Right? That doesn't sound like that would have been a lot of fun, would it? Yeah, you wouldn't have spent your last day of your weekend doing that either, would you? Yeah. So I was right. That's an option too, but this is kind of a nice neighborhood. Um, and I don't want to do anything that's going to degrade the property values. Like putting a free refrigerator out on your front lawn doesn't sound like it. I am going to look at that Habitat for Humanity place, Susan. That was a good suggestion. I'll probably try that tomorrow. Yeah, I'm really happy with the new refrigerator. It works really well. I don't know if I'm going to hook up the water or not. It does have the ice maker, but one of the things they noticed, and I knew this before, is they had a weird fitting on the house. I'm convinced that whoever ran I'm convinced that the water spigot there for behind the refrigerator was something that somebody installed afterwards, and they just ran a piece of tubing down the wall and put some weird fitting on it, and that was how they made the thing work. Probably had like a box of old bizarre fittings, and they just grabbed what they could. And I've tried before to get a connection to be an adapter to that thing, and yeah, I've had problems with it. So I don't know. I may look into it a little bit this weekend and see what happens. See if I can make that work. But like I said, an ice maker hasn't been a huge priority for me. I don't use that much ice, and frankly, I buy water in 1 gallon bottles and have a dispenser in the refrigerator that just always has cold water in it. So you know, and I've had such bad luck with ice makers; they always leak. I end up ripping out the floor in my house in California because in part because the ice maker leaked and warped the floorboards. Yeah, I like Habitat for Humanity. They are a good company or a good organization. They do a lot of good. It was a crazy week this week. All sorts of line turns. It was like I think I did 3 line turns every day, and I mean that's a lot of work. I'm exhausted. I'm on my feet, walking back and forth. Walk to this place, walk to that place, to go over here. It's like oh, but this was an unusually freakish week. Hopefully, it'll calm down a little bit next week. Hey, Darth. No, no vitamins, and I've never had an energy drink. Yeah, the bite man's here. Darth is asking for a treat. Do you deserve a treat? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you think you do, don't you? All right, let's tip this down a little bit here. Oh, he's just an old man. And I don't really do caffeine anymore, John. I quit caffeine about 10 years ago. The old refrigerator is still on the trailer on my driveway. So like I said, I don't have to load it up onto the trailer again. That was the hard part. That was when the guy said, "Oh, we don't take refrigerators," and I said, "You mean I spent 4 hours getting this thing out of my house and muscling it onto the trailer, and now it's all for nothing, and now it's just going to go to the dump?" I thought because I figured out how to make it work again, that somebody would want it because it's actually a good refrigerator. I just thought there was a problem with it. It worked great. Even, what I was having to do before in order to keep the door closed is I just had like one of those ratcheting straps around it that just kind of held the door closed. Yeah, I don't really want to go through the trouble of going online though. Door closed. Yeah, I don't really want to go through the trouble of going online though. And my luck, they wouldn't steal the refrigerator. They'd steal the trailer. Work's going okay. It was a busy, crazy week this week, so I'm glad it's over, and I'm going into my long weekend. So little time to depressurize, so that'll be nice. See, I wouldn't even call it a toy. The thing is more than paid for itself just by me not having to pay somebody to haul something. I use it 3, 4, 5 times a year, so I'm so glad I have it. Yes, I do have some new rocks, Darth. I didn't really buy a lot of expensive stuff this time. As I told Kara, I'm still a little hungover from the Rock and Mineral show uh, back at the beginning of May, but um, I got a couple of just cool little things. A lot of times it's just things I find that kind of speak to me. I saw this and I thought this was cool. This is called cobaltocalcite. I thought that was, kind of pretty. Sometimes it's just the little things that catch my attention. And I saw this, and this was pretty cool. This is called mica, and it's kind of cool. And then I saw this one. I actually got this one for free. And that's just a kind of a special kind of smoky quartz. It's double terminated, so that's kind of cool. It's got points on both sides, which is kind of weird. You don't necessarily see that. Usually, it's one side's pointy and one side's flat, but I thought that was kind of cool. Like I said, I got that one for free. Yeah, I like mica. Mica's kind of cool. And it's got like a little lattice, so it's almost like paper thin layers of this on top of each other. So you can almost peel the layers off. Don't want to do it though. I think it's pretty just the way it is. And you get the angles just right. You get like little rainbows in there. So yeah, that's a good one. Not extraordinarily fragile. If I dropped it, it would be a problem. I could easily, break layers off of it, but then there'd be another layer on top of it. But I got stuff that's way more fragile. It's soft also. They have something called the Moore scale, and goes from 1 to 10, where one is the softest and 10 is like a diamond. And I think this is a on a Moore scale of like 2 or 3, so it's pretty soft. Yeah, mica is fairly common. Yeah, if I put it on the curb though, that means I got to get it off the trailer again. I'm gonna try Susan's Habitat for Humanity option here, because then at least I can maybe get somebody to help me take it off the trailer. And if that doesn't work, I might try Salvation Army. If that doesn't work, then I don't know. We'll see. I thought about leaving it as a garage refrigerator, but I don't really have any room in the garage for it. So yeah, no, and besides, the new refrigerator I have holds more than the old one did anyway. So I got a lot more space in the refrigerator now. I think the trade though for Best Buy is you have to buy a new one from them and then they take the old one away. See, that's what the deal was with Home Depot too, where I got this one is that I paid an extra $50 and they'd haul the old one away. Well, I end up changing my mind on that because originally I thought they were hauling away a defective one, one that didn't work anymore. And then when I figured it out, Well, see, the pickup isn't the issue anymore. It's actually fairly easy now for me to move it anywhere I want. All I got to do is hook the trailer up to the car and tow it to where I need it. So yeah, we'll find somebody this weekend. Like I said, it was the end of the day on Tuesday. It was the last day of my weekend, and so I didn't really have a lot of time to drive all over town. But we'll get it figured out this weekend. Haven't seen Flash this weekend yet. She's around. I'm sure she's fine. No, no, I still have no idea. I'm assuming it's a possum or a raccoon or something. The bourbon pickles didn't agree with you, huh? No, I got a whole bunch of tomatoes like last week, but nothing this week yet. Yeah, it could be a tomato zombie. Hey, Yvonne. Yeah, I saw something about the Dolly Parton truck stop trying to compete with Bucky's. No, I don't think it's the Irish because our we still have beer. I haven't seen her run on the beer, so I think it's got to be something else. Bucky's is a lot of fun. No, it's a Weezer. We love autocorrect errors. Sometimes they're better than the original posting. Yeah, freezing rent, that'll help. Because what that does mean is that there's not going to be the money to pay for repairs. So those places are going to turn into dives. You know, that was one of the things when Jordan was really pinching pennies early on. When he before he started the vlogging, he lived in a rent controlled place, and that place was kind of a dive. They couldn't do anything to make the place look nice because they couldn't make any real money. Their expenses keep going up, but they can't generate more income, so something's got to give. That's about to happen to the city of New York. Big Apple is baked. I guess I didn't hear about that one, Gene. Yeah, right. Yeah, just like the free buses or the free grocery store. You hear that? You're gonna spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to build a free grocery store that won't start for what, 5 years or something like that. We need to quarantine New York, prevent people from leaving that city because it's like a virus. You have a deadly virus or a deadly pathogen somewhere. You have to contain it so it doesn't jump the borders. It's the same with socialism. Yeah, those borders are there for a reason. I don't know. The elections last week doesn't seem like they've figured anything out yet. I was the same way with California, Gene. It was the same thing there. It, and it's only gotten worse since I left. I mean, it was bad enough as it was. Yeah, no Rhonda again today. At least not yet. Sometimes she'll pop in later on. I don't know. That sounds like a joke in there. I don't know, Darth. Why did the picture go to jail? Oh, that's one of those groaners, Darth. It's hot here. We're in summer now, so it's like upper 90s every day. But you never know. You know, in as soon as in as short a time as a day or two, you know, though the weather could completely change and we get rain through here. So you never know. Right now, it says, you know, hot and sunny for the next 2 weeks, but that could change at any minute. So that's one of the cool things. I just stay inside a lot or do indoorsy kind of things. Yeah, us too, Kathy. Only we just call it summer. But I got a house with good AC, so we're good. I got to work on the 4th. Yeah, our company decided we're not closing this year. We had a slow couple of weeks at the beginning of the month, and we still got to catch up. And so they made the call to, you know, keep running. I'm disappointed, but it's also kind of a pain in the neck bringing the Lions back. You know, you shut them down. It takes like 2 days to get everything going again, and maybe a week before things are running well. So I understand their decision, both from a business point and from just a technology standpoint. But it still sounded kind of sad. You know, the this is a big one. This is 250, but that's what happens. Yeah, we're a 24/7 operation. Full day's work on the 4th. The beauty is I'll get like triple time for doing that. Not necessarily on emergencies because, like I said, we got 4 different shifts that cover 24 hours. So generally, when I'm out, I'm out. Yeah, I'll be doing Silo of Screams again this year. Haven't talked to John yet this year, but he usually starts contacting me about August. I've had a couple jobs that do triple time like that. Disney kind of tended to do that a little bit too, because that was a place. I mean, we're there on Christmas Day, we're there on Thanksgiving, we're New Year's, the whole thing. A lot of people go to Disneyland on Christmas. Yeah, triple time is good pay, definitely. And you consider the fact that it will be triple time for the 12 and a half, 14-hour days I do. So yeah, it's going to be a nice chunk of cash. Yeah, last couple because what happens at Silo these years? I can't go all the time. It just works out that we have our maintenance interval at work around the same time that Silo is going on, and so I do it just at the kind of the beginning of the season. And so last couple of years, that's the way it's been. Because in order for me to do the full season, I have to be able to guarantee I can walk out of that place at 7:30, and I can't guarantee I'm going to do that. Very rarely do I walk out the door at 7:30 when the shift is over, and I can't be rolling in at 9 o'clock when they started at 8. So, oh, Yvonne's checking out. Good seeing you, Yvonne. See you next time. Or is it Kat? I guess it's Kathy is checking out. Sorry, sometimes you got to read all these comments and try and understand them in context. Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry, misinterpreted that. I just saw Yvonne said bye bye, take care. I thought, oh, okay. I know I need to do that. I need to take attendance. Okay, Kathy's in. Okay, Kathy's out. All right. Let's see. No Rhonda. Darth's here. Susan's here. Jean's here. Well, y'all have a pass. Yeah. You got to also remember when I'm like responding to somebody's comment, I'm not, I may talk on a minute or two on something someone said, and then a bunch of other comments come up, and maybe I miss them too. So that happens. That's just reality because I am a professional. That kind of stuff happens all the time to me too, Gene. I'll, I'll just talk. I'll mention something, and all of a sudden I start seeing ads for that thing on Facebook or something. It's weird. I've never had to work night shift at this job. I've worked night shift at other jobs. At Disney, when things got slow, sometimes during the Christmas season, they'd allow us to transfer into the departments to help put the Christmas lights up just to get some overtime. Well, I get that when you search for something on Google and then start seeing ads for it, that's all tied together. If they see you're interested in something, Google is going to tell everyone to feed you ads on that subject. That's just that's basics. But the fact that it'll spy on you and hear things that you say, not even when you're interacting with your phone, it'll just the mic will be on and it'll be listening to you. And yeah, I've seen that happen too many times for for there not to be a connection there. Some obscure thing that I'm looking for, all of a sudden it pops up. No, I don't buy a lot on Amazon. Sometimes. I still get my grapefruit juice from Amazon. Yeah, don't leave. AI is making songs you like now, huh? Oh man. Yeah, I still prefer music from real people. Yeah, all that. You got to remember on any of these things, if you're not paying for it and you're getting some service for free, then you're the product. And even when you are paying for things, they're still watching you. But Facebook, all the free content you get from that. Yeah, you don't pay for that. Yeah, you're the product. They're selling all the personal information they can get from you. see anything on my end. Yvonne or Darth is having a buffet, huh? Yvonne's buffering and Darth is buffeting. All right. David Clayton Thomas. I don't know who that is. Oh, okay. I guess I did hear that. Okay. Yeah, that happened like what 3 or 4 days ago, I guess, right? Right. I remember him. I remember hearing about the story. Never was really that much a Blood, Sweat, and Tears fan, but we're getting to a point now where all these bands that we knew when we were kids, they're all old like we are now, starting to croak on us. I guess Mel Brooks is 100 years old today. That's quite an accomplishment to go that long. It's an endurance test, like doing a 2 hour live stream. It's not for the faint of heart. I don't know. My favorite Mel Brooks, I guess, is probably Blazing Saddles. I'm not as up on Mel Brooks as like when people ask the question Mel Brooks or Monty Python. I'm a Monty Python person. I find Monty Python much funnier. It's a little bit more sophisticated. I like the dry, subtle humor. Mel Brooks just tends to be a bunch of fart jokes. and a bunch of silly sight gags. Spaceballs is just a kind of goofy movie. I don't know. It's not one of those movies that I can, pull out and just watch. I kind of get bored with it. I think I saw that one once, but I don't remember anything about it. Well, I love some of the kind of behind the scenes subtle jokes in Spaceballs. My understanding at one point, you know, George Lucas was told about Spaceballs when it was in pre-production, and said he'd go along with it as long as the Han Solo or character didn't look like Han Solo from the movie. So instead, he made him dress like Indiana Jones, which I thought was funny. Yeah, Young Frankenstein is another one of those that you know I don't get to I don't sit down and watch all the way through. See, I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and Star Wars was pretty good. I don't know. I think the first three Star Wars that's where it starts and ends. The rest of them, I don't know. When Disney got involved, that was that was the end of it. But it was going downhill even with episodes one, two, and three. Yeah, John Candy's great in anything he's in. Yogurt, yeah, or Pizza the Hut. Yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars, huge Twilight Zone fan. Well, considering Disney, I believe that Disney destroyed the Star Wars franchise. Same thing with Marvel. Marvel. Disney's definitely spent a considerable amount of money. Yeah, the X Files were good. I like that. I used to watch that every week. No, I agree with you, John. The Twilight Zone movies weren't as good as the TV series, and there was that new Twilight Zone, and I don't think it was as good either. Yeah, but that's the world we live in, Susan. But the script, it was more than Rod Serling, though. I mean, yes, he was a big part of it, but it was the stories, it was the script, it was the directing, it was just classic freaky tales, things that even hold up today. Friday the 13th TV series. Geez, really? Well, and I think that's a big part of the problem, Gene, is there's no more original ideas. It's just remakes of movies that have been successful in the past. Yeah, yeah, he was a chain smoker, and so was Walt. You're right, and they both died early because of that. Yeah, that is a almost a Twilight Zone episode, Susan. Here I am talking to my laptop. I got to be the craziest person here. I never really got into Dark Shadows as much as like the Twilight Zone. Night Gallery was another one of those that I never got into. That was Rob Serling too. Yeah, I got into Hitchcock too. You see, what would happen at the time I was watching the Twilight Zone, I was also watching Hitchcock because what would happen is there'd be an episode of the Twilight Zone, an episode of Hitchcock at noon every day, and what I'd do is I'd go to school in the morning from like 9 to 11, and then I cut a couple hours off before I went to work at 2. So I'd come home, watch the Twilight Zone, watch Hitchcock, have some lunch, and go to work. Yeah, Twilight Zone is on one of the streaming services. I don't remember if it's Paramount Plus or Amazon or on Netflix, but I have it on one of my streaming services, so I pull that out from time to time. There's great episodes of the original Twilight Zone. Hmm. Yeah, see, I never watched Donna Reed, or I think I no, I don't remember if I watched Father Knows Best either, or Patty Duke. That was a little before my time, I think. I mean, I remember I Love Lucy, and of course, I grew up with the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family and Gilligan's Island, the Batman TV series, Happy Days. Yeah, you're right, and all the spin-offs tied to that. I mean, it's amazing how many spin-offs came from that because Laverne and Shirley came from that. There was like a short-lived series, Joni Loves Chachi, I think. Mork and Mindy came from that. Never really watched Frasier or Benson or Soap or Cheers or Taxi. Three's Company, yeah, I like Three's Company. Chips, yeah, I like Chips. And I remember like watching Adam 12 too, an emergency. Remember that? Never was into Starsky and Hutch. Yeah, or the Rockford Files, or Hunter, Kojak. I think I watched Kojak a few times. Love the A Team. Knight Rider. I was a Knight Rider watcher. Yeah. Quantum Leap. The Hulk. Yeah. You remember that time I met Lou Ferrigno, right? Room 222. I watched that a little bit, but I think my parents are more into that than me. Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, the one with Lauren Green and Dirk Benedict. Well, Stairway to Heaven. That's a Led Zeppelin song. But I think there was what was it? The one with the guy from Little House on the Prairie. What was that called? Wonder Woman, Charlie's Angels. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but what was that show called? It's something like Stairway to Heaven. Stairway to Heaven is a Led Zeppelin song. No, that's something altogether. Heaven's Gate. That was those crazy people in Southern California that all committed ritual suicide because they thought their god was coming behind the Hale-Bopp comet. Seventh Heaven. I think that's what it was. Or was it Highway to Heaven? Maybe. I was thinking that too. I don't think I watched that one very much. Little House on the Prairie, though, that was kind of family viewing when that was on. So we all watched that. Now I never really watched Father Murphy. There was a TV series, I don't know, probably in the 80s, early 90s called 7 Days. Anybody remember that? The government had come up with some sort of time machine and they could send somebody back in time 7 days. And so, like, when a disaster happened, they figured out as much as they could and then sent this guy back in time to prevent it. Benny Hill, yeah, that was a good show. Watched Dallas a little bit, never was really into it. Not really into Dynasty, Knots Landing. No, I've kind of settled into my past now in terms of TV shows. I don't really watch new stuff. You just kind of settle into things you like, and when you get a certain age, yeah, no, not doing Disney Plus. Never really watched Malcolm in the Middle. That wasn't really my thing. I remember All in the Family and Jeffersons, though. That was great. There's that character in the Trailer Park Boys that doesn't wear a shirt either, but that isn't quite as appealing here. Let's see if I can find a picture of this dude. Hang on. That was something Jordan got me into. Let's see if I can find a picture of this dude. I see a couple options here, but let's see if we can find a good one. That'll work. Yeah, okay. All right, now we gotta get rid of the ads here. Hold on a second. Yeah, tell me, ladies, if this is who you're lusting after here when you think of a man wearing not wearing a shirt during a TV show here. Yeah, is this everyone's dream come true? Yeah, that character never wears a shirt either. He probably should. Yeah, there was someone else that didn't wear a shirt, the Hulk. Oh man, I remember the courtship of Eddie's father. Yeah, exactly. When the babies do. It's like a Canadian comedy called The Trailer Park Boys. That's on Netflix, definitely. Never watched The Streets of San Francisco. That wasn't one for me. Gunsmoke was a little before my time. Beretta, yeah, I remember. I don't remember watching it. Maverick, another one I don't remember. I never was really into the westerns. Yeah, see, Rifleman was another one that was a little bit before my time, I think. Oops. Yeah, we're going back a little too early now for me. Don't remember Bite the series. Yeah, I like the Monkees. They were good. The Gong Show. There you go. One of my favorite bands' first performance was on the Gong Show. Yeah, if we're gonna get into the cartoons, definitely Tom and Jerry, Speed Racer for the Japanimation, Looney Tunes. Yeah, yeah. Chuck Barris. That was it. Oh, the Superman, the black and white one with George Reeves, right? Yeah, I watched that. Of course, the campy Batman from the '70s. Yeah, Family Feud. Watched that a little bit, or the Hollywood Squares. We're gonna get into like game shows and stuff like that. Yeah, Johnny Carson was great. They don't make them like that anymore. Yeah, there's three of them, Susan. Munsters, Adams Family, My Favorite Martian. Oh, yeah, I used to watch Mr. Rogers too. Dukes of Hazard. No, I haven't either. The last late night show I watched with any regularity was David Letterman. That was when he was. That was before he was. Because I think he went from what did he go from NBC to CBS? I think, and I'm kind of lost interest in when he moved to the second one. For a couple of years there, like in the late '80s, I was like pursuing a telecommunications degree. So I was, going to some television classes, and actually did the actual shooting of shows and stuff like that. And a couple of field trips we went to, we went and saw the taping of a sitcom. I think it was an episode of Growing Pains, I think. And then we also went and saw a local thing, the Wally George show. Anybody remember Wally George? Well, that was when I was working at the CD factory, and I had just started being the person that made the master CD, and I was also learning how to make the master laser disc. So I thought it would be a good idea to kind of learn a little bit more about the technology. And so I did that, and by the time I started getting into it, um, laser discs started going away, and I started getting more into CD-ROM and computer into things, and that's just kind of the way things went. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on my end, Yvonne. They got bought out by a competitor and then shut down. But by the time that happened, when I worked for a couple of CD companies. The first one was, well, it had three names during the time I was there. It started off as Laser Video. It was owned by a Chicago company. That Chicago company sold it to an Australian company, became Distronics, and then I guess Distronics defaulted on their loan, or the parent company of Distronics defaulted on their payment. So it went back to this original company, and it became Disc Manufacturing Inc. And that place in what was it, like '97, I think, was bought out by another competitor called Cinram. And basically, we had two facilities. We had one in Anaheim, California, where I worked, and one in Huntsville, Alabama. And the one in Huntsville, Alabama, was like 20 times the size of the one in Anaheim. So it turned out that company that bought us out just really wanted the big facility. And so they shut us down. And, I was working at the company when they bought us out. But by the time that actually happened, I'd left and gone to Warner Brothers. And it was there for about 7 years. And then that same company bought them out, shut them down. So by that time, I moved to the little mastering house, and I was there for a couple of years. And at that point, the CD world was kind of going away. I spent another year at a company that made the machines that made CDs, but they didn't last long either. And that was the end of that. But I spent like 22, 23 years making compact discs in one form or another. Well, you have to adapt it or die. That's how it works. Life has changed. I think I found a good place right now, though. Yeah, I still have all my CDs too. Got a couple of them. Well, they don't really care anymore. They've already lost half their audience. Well, all of that stuff ended when streaming came around. Oh, you're having some rain there, huh? That sounds like fun. Well, I keep referring to this laptop as my new laptop, but this laptop's about 8 years old too. Because I broke this thing open the first time and first started using it when I was on my trip to Texas. I'd received it for Christmas from my parents the year before, but since my old one was still working, I kind of continued using that and only retired the old laptop when I moved away from California. So, that's been, probably, yeah, because I'm coming up on, it's been 7 years since I left. That's crazy. Well, the computer there behind me, that's brand new. You know, from about a year ago. You saw me put together that, and yeah, everything is new now. I think except for the sound system. The sound system still sounds pretty good. Hey, Nancy, I'm running Windows 10 on this laptop too. They keep pestering me to update to 11, but I don't like to really do that. These you know these laptops especially, they're designed to run with a particular operating system, and you know they don't always work as well. They're not as efficient when you update. You get more code bloat and all that stuff. So I've resisted the urge to update this one to 11. One behind me, that's running 11. I do remember that you're in Mexico City. Yeah, 10 is perfectly fine. I'm not having any problems with this laptop. It's definitely gently used, but it's gotten a lot of use. Now I got good virus software on all my machines, and I got the VPN on, and got a firewall behind my router. Yeah, that's kind of my thought too, John. Is if I'll update to the latest version. Like I said, The desktop behind me, that's running 11. I love Speed Racer. And if there is, they have an Indian accent. Does he do something like where he's like doing push-ups? Because I've seen some of the. In my case, I think it's chameleons that do it here. We got a couple species of lizard that live in the area, and that's kind of cool, fun watching them. I had a few lizards and chameleons that lived in the yard in California, and there's more here, so that's cool. I like seeing the different kinds of wildlife. I try and make my place as wildlife friendly as possible. Got the bird feeders and the squirrel feeders and the bird bath. Mr. Rogers was too corny, huh? I don't have a whole lot of hummingbird activity. I have a feeder out there, but and every once in a while I'll see one visit me. Oh yeah, Captain Kangaroo or the Sid and Marty Krofft stuff, HR Puffin stuff. Anybody watch that? I've had the hummingbird feeder for a while. In fact, I got a jar of my own homemade syrup in the refrigerator, which is just sugar and water. They say you shouldn't be putting the dye in it, and I don't really need to either because uh, the hummingbird feeder I have is the red glass, so it gets the same effect. No, I don't think I got it at Home Depot. I think I got it at one of the farm and ranch stores in the area. There's like there's like a category. It's like a Home Depot, but it's more geared towards people like that have farms and ranches. It's got small equipment, small tractor equipment, stuff like that. But a lot of stuff that you'd like, you'd be able to buy like horse food or chicken food, or you can buy chickens or ducks or rabbits or stuff like that, and all sorts of like clothing and just outdoorsy kind of stuff. And I think I found that at one of those stores. See you next time, Gene. Good seeing you, or good seeing your name. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, my eyes just get really dry when I do the live streams. I don't even have the fan on today. As I thought sometimes maybe it was the air circulating around. Give me a second. I'm going to put some eye drops in. Stare at the rocks for a bit here. All right, let's try that for a while. See if that does better. Yeah, I prefer subtitles over dubbing too. Although I don't really have a whole lot of foreign language movies in my collection. In fact, come to think of it, I only have one. No, these are just my readers. No, don't really have a lot of problems with Windows 11. Now I'm just looking at the monitor on the laptop. Oh wow, we're back to Wally George. That was like 20 minutes ago I mentioned him. Wally George was kind of a local loudmouth, basically. And I'd watched him a couple times just because he was kind of funny to watch. How big is the monitor? I would say about this big. Now it's oh, I would say it's probably 15 inches across, but about half of that is the screen I'm looking at because oops, well, from my perspective, the text is over on this side. Although from your perspective, actually, in order to make it work, it's actually over here. You got to point the wrong direction because the screen mirrors things here, and that flips it, makes it crazy. But it makes it possible so you can, read Weezer on the shirt too. Otherwise, it'd be backwards. Yeah, it's a pretty good size monitor. I mean, I suppose I could put it on the flat screen if I want, but yeah, I remember Morton Downey Jr. Never really watched or listened to him, but like I said, Wally George was just kind of fun uh, because he was just such a lunatic. And a lot of people didn't know it. If you remember the actress Rebecca De Mornay, that was Wally George's daughter. She denied it though; she was so embarrassed by him. Yeah, I think that was the only thing I remember her in was in The Hand That Rocked the Cradle. She was good in that. She played a good psycho. I only saw it once, but I remember it was pretty good. I think it was one of those movies though that once you've seen it once, it's like okay. Anybody ever see a movie called War of the Roses? That's actually one I've been thinking I want to pick up a copy of. It's been a long time because that one was just such a great movie. That was Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, I think. No one here to give a treat to. And I ain't eating one of these things. Sorry. I already have a shiny coat, Darth. It was definitely a dark comedy. Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas are play a husband and wife team. They've just kind of gotten to the point where they've gotten on each other's nerves to the point where they hate each other. And the whole movie is them doing everything they can to try and torture the other one. They end up killing each other at the end. I don't think I ever saw that one, John. I remember it. I remember hearing about it, but I don't think it was one I ever saw. Never saw Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That was what was that like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, I think, or something like that. So Dominic Dunn, the writer, or Dominic Dunn, the actress? Because Dominic Dunn, that was the older girl in Poltergeist, and she was like strangled by her boyfriend. And I think they were both related to each other. I think he was like grandfather or something like that to her, but they were both named Dominic Dunn. I think Jordan did a vlog on Dominic Dunn's murder, where he went to the location where it happened. Yeah, that sounds like something Scott Michaels would be into too. Guess I don't remember hearing about that. All right, a little bit more eye drop time here. Hang on. I guess I'd be more likely to eat food prepared by a murderer than I would to eat food prepared by a cannibal. But yeah, I think I'd probably still try not to do that. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Heather O'Rourke. Yeah, she died too. Died young. Imagine being that boy in the middle and being realizing you're the only one left of the three kids. Wasn't Ed Gein also a cannibal? I got the right one. He was the one that like inspired three different horror movies because I think he inspired Psycho because he was a real was really into his mom. He inspired Silence of the Lambs because they like to skin his victims. And what was the third one? The inspired Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because you think about those three movies, they all kind of tie in together a little bit. And that's because they're all inspired by the same serial killer. I think it was Ed Gein. One of them was a cannibal though too, wasn't there? There was one of the killers that was eating his victims. I don't remember who though. I thought it was Ed Gein, but yeah, I think yeah, I guess it was Dahmer that was eating people, right? I heard about that too, Susan. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, I remember that story. That was a weird one. Boy, we've just been all over the map on this live stream here, talking about, 60s and 70s TV shows, and now we're talking about serial killers. Never know where you're going to go on escaping the mouse. Was it that recent, Yvonne? It seemed to me that was a lot longer ago than that. Hmm, that's creepy. Good seeing you, Doris. See you next time. Yeah, we'll be winding this down too. Got a little something I want to go out and vlog today. No, no restaurant vlog. It's something I've done before. I'm going to do it again. A couple of years ago, I went to something called Jurassic Quest. It was down at the convention center where they had a bunch of animatronic life-size dinosaurs, and it's back in town. I want to go check that out again. It was kind of fun last time. Actually, it isn't at the convention center. I saw this morning it's at the Extraco Event Center. So that's actually closer. Yeah, I'm going to shoot one today, I think. And this is my long weekend, so depends on what inspires me. But the Jurassic Quest one, if all goes well, that should go up on Tuesday. Yellowstone, yeah, it'll happen. Yeah, I would suppose if you're a couple minutes behind, and you might not hear what I'm saying now for 3 or 4 minutes, then it's possible that you'll see that that the live stream will abruptly end. Because when I stop the live stream, what I'll do is I'll usually within a couple minutes, within a minute or so, I'll move it to private while YouTube renders everything. And so when that happens, you'll stop being able to watch it, but it'll come back tomorrow. It always does. But we got a couple minutes left, so now's your chance. Or we could do something really psychedelic. Yeah, let's do something psychedelic. There you go. Ooh, psychedelic. Ooh. Sorry, I'm being silly. I'll do a whole live stream that way. Yeah, I don't know. Well, usually after a live stream, I'll just take a quick nap and rest my eyes, and then I'm fine. I don't know what it is. It just might be that, there's just a dry air and me sitting here not doing anything. Usually when I'm out and about, I'm fine. Might even be just as dry in the house here, but when I get outside, it'll be fine. I see you too, Darth. I don't know. I haven't decided what's for dinner yet. Maybe I'll thaw out one of my lasagna slices. That's always good. Tacos. A pizza taco. I don't know. Two great things. Yeah, I like Arby's. I don't go to Arby's that much. There is actually one in town, a couple in town, I think. I don't go to Arby's enough. It was one of those things that we never really did that much when I was a kid, because the nearest Arby's from where I lived when I was a kid was like 10 miles away. When you had, KFC and Burger King and McDonald's and Pizza Hut and Shakey's Pizza and all that a lot closer. It was a lot easier to do that. Burger King. Good seeing you again, Nancy. Yeah, I'm going to pull the plug on this here pretty quick too. Well, I think it would be awkward if I were to do it linked to the flat screen, because then I'd be looking this way all the time to see what was on the screen, because that's the monitors over there. Now, I think it's just the airflow. I think I've got like air conditioning vents that are blowing right into my eyes. I think that's what it is. Anyway, I think I'm going to stop this one now. We've taken this as far as we're going to go. Thanks, everyone. I had a good time today. We'll pick this up again next week. See you then.